My mom just called me a failure, and maybe she's right. I'm 13 years old, and honestly, I've been called a bad kid for as long as I can remember. Since I was really young, I've always been the class clown, the one who couldn't sit still, who couldn't stop talking, who cried easily when people yelled. Other kids sometimes looked at me like I was different, or like there was something wrong with me. In kindergarten, I was put in a special class. I didn't even really understand why. I just knew I wasn't like the others. Back then, we lived in a mostly white town. I was one of the only black kids in the school. I was loud, wild, and full of energy, and that didn't sit right with the people there. I could tell I wasn't treated the same. Even when I was little, I knew I was being judged, not just for how I acted, but for who I was. My mom ended up pulling me out of that school when I was around 9. We moved to a new town, but it was still mostly white people, maybe even worse. My mom hoped things would get better, but they didn't. In first grade, I acted out even more. I had a lady who would walk with me to every class just so I wouldn't cause trouble. I went to a social worker when I was 10. I had to sit down and tell her about my life, and even then, I couldn't really explain why I was the way I was. I just knew I didn't feel right. My mom had me when she was 22. She was a single mom from the start. My dad stayed back in our hometown, always in and out of jail, and not really in my life. My mom had to do everything alone. Work, raise me and my little sister. We think we have the same dad, but no one's really sure. She was smart, and she always made sure we had food, clothes, a home. But I made it hard for her. I really did. I never listened. I had so much energy I couldn't control. Looking back, I think it was ADHD, but no one ever really helped me figure that out. When I was 11, my mom finally had enough. I had gotten in trouble at school so many times, over 100 calls home. I talked too much, couldn't sit still, cried during class when people yelled. Once, a teacher raised her voice at me and I crawled under my desk and cried until someone came and took me out. That teacher was probably just tired of me. I don't even blame her anymore. So my mom pulled me out of school completely. She started homeschooling me. But it wasn't what you'd think. I didn't get to go outside. I didn't get my things back. She took away my tablet, my toys, everything. It was during COVID too, so I was just stuck inside doing online programs all alone. I got really lonely and angry. After a while, we moved again. My mom thought maybe the problem was the town. Maybe I needed to be around more kids like me, people who looked like me, who understood me. So we moved closer to Chicago, not in the city, but nearby. And she put me back in school, this time in 6th grade. Since I had been homeschooled and away from kids, all I wanted now was friends. That's all I thought about. I didn't care about my grades, I just wanted people to like me. So I made jokes, teased the teachers, tried to make everyone laugh. And it worked, for a while. People thought I was funny. I got attention. But it also got me kicked out again. Too many times going too far. So they sent me to an alternative school. I thought it would be even worse, but that's where I met someone who changed my life. It was a small class, me, 2 high schoolers, and another middle school kid. But there was this woman there. She was different. She actually saw me. Not just how I acted, but why. She understood me. She talked to me like I mattered, not like I was just some problem. She became like a second mom to me. At home, things were still rough. My real mom was always mad at me. I couldn't clean right. I'd break something or I'd forget to do something and she'd snap. I could never do anything good enough. But this teacher made me feel like I could be more. So I finished the year at the alternative school, and my mom decided to try one more time. She enrolled me in a private school. It was strict, really strict. I was 12 and still chasing friends, and I started messing up again. I cracked jokes in class, skipped assignments, and acted up. And once again, I got kicked out. That's when everything really fell apart. My mom didn't even yell this time. She just packed my things and dropped me off at a mental hospital. I stayed there for a while. And when I came out, nothing was the same. She set up a camera in the living room and gave me school books. I had to sit on the floor and do school there in front of that camera every single day. I started rebelling. I got so angry. I hated everything. I hated myself. I snuck on her laptop, talked to strangers online, did things she told me never to do. I even lit small fires in the house just to watch them burn. I was falling apart inside. The word failure became her favorite insult. She called me that all the time. said I was slow, called me names I don't even want to repeat. When I cried, she called me weak, just like my dad. And I believed her. I started thinking maybe I really was worthless. Maybe there was something wrong with me. That lasted for months. I was depressed. I didn't know who I was or why I felt so broken. Even when I had friends, I still felt alone. But something changed when I turned 13. I don't know how to explain it. It was like a light came on in my head. I could suddenly see what I was doing wrong. I understood why people were upset. I finally started thinking before I did stuff. Maybe my common sense finally kicked in. My mom decided to try again. She gave me one more chance. She sent me back to school, but because I hadn't finished the right classes, I had to go back to the alternative school. At first, I hated it, but then I realized something. I wasn't like the other kids there anymore. They were throwing chairs, screaming, fighting. And me? I just sat in the back, quiet, doing my work. That woman who helped me before was now the dean of the school. And anytime I felt like I was slipping, I talked to her. I stayed there for 7 months and I worked hard. I didn't get kicked out. I didn't act up. I just did what I was supposed to do. And finally, I got out. I was allowed to go back to regular school. Before I left, the woman who had helped me hugged me tight. She cried. She told me she was proud. She said I was normal, that I had a chance, that I could really do it. And you know what? That changed everything. When I got to the new school, I stayed calm. I focused. I had a small group of friends, real friends who liked me for me. I didn't act up, I didn't joke around too much, I paid attention in class. And when I finally graduated from that grade, I was happy. I had made it. I didn't mess up. But even after all that, things at home didn't really change. I wasn't perfect. I still forgot a dish here and there. Sometimes my room was messy. I wasn't trying to be bad, it's just hard to remember everything sometimes. But for my mom, any little mistake was huge. She took everything again. I'm 13, with no TikTok, no Instagram, no way to talk to my friends. She still calls me a problem. She still calls me slow, useless. And even though I know I'm trying, even though I know I'm better now, it's like she can't see it. Sometimes I want to cry, but I can't. I'm scared she'll see me and call me weak again. And I just can't take that anymore. I just want to prove to her that I'm not the same kid. I want her to look at me and see someone she can be proud of, but every time I try, something ruins it. Some small thing messes up all the progress I made, and I'm back to being a failure in her eyes. I don't know if I'm a bad kid. I don't think I am anymore. I'm really trying. I'm trying so hard. But it feels like no matter how much I do, it's never going to be enough for her. And sometimes I wonder, if my own mom can't love me the way I need, what's wrong with me?